cheia, breve.
Galera, esse aqui é o último vídeo do dia 26 do dia. E vamos seguir, galera. Amanhã, dia 27, temos mais 2 eventos. Não se preocupem. Então, bora
Play
lá.
button.
Para o
2
dia
of
de
3.
hoje, 26. Começando o último do dia.
Pause button.
Good
Video.
afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for coming. It is just me, but I want to say thank you so much for coming here, taking some time out of your day. Happy last day of PAX, everyone. So today, my topic is cosplay on a budget, using unconventional materials to create your own costumes. And my username is Ghost Comic Cosplay, or you can just call me Sarah. Right? I'll
E
just
ela
show what
falar
I'm
sobre
wearing first.
cosplay, ok?
Thank you. I'll be discussing this costume as part of my panel since this is basically completely made out of unconventional materials. And if anyone knows Date Everything, it is both a box from Date Everything. That's also for those who don't know. So for my agenda today, I'm going to do a quick introduction of who I am, some examples of my work that fit into the topic of using unconventional materials. I will also be discussing how to build a home store. I say store because for me, I have a big archive of items that I've collected over the years, so I go shopping in my own house to see what I need to use. And I will also be discussing how some of my examples were built, and hopefully you can use it to make your own cosplays as well. And at the end, we will have a Q&A. So who I am, again, my name is Sarah. I'm also known as Ghost Comic Cosplay on Instagram. I have been cosplaying for a little over 10 years, and I will brag a little bit, I've placed in contests twice. I've gotten second place both solo and as a group, and one of my group costume will be one of my examples today. I describe myself as a casual cosplayer. I'm not creating cosplays all the time. I'm not an influencer. I'm not on TikTok. I create 1 to 2 a year. So I'm not pumping things out. I'm more budget conscious. I'm more time conscious. Sometimes it is, I only have a month to make a costume. I only have $100 to make a costume. I only have $20 to make a costume. So I have to figure it out if I want something new. The way I started out was with Broadway costumes. Pre-COVID, this was before the pandemic. I mostly did Broadway, and one of the examples will be a Broadway costume. And then COVID hit, and I got into a lot of comic books and video games and Critical Role. So I will be showing some of my examples up there I have 2 Critical Role, and then one is the one I'm wearing right now. And my day job is I'm a high school teacher. So I teach high school history and sometimes other topics. Whoa, Danny, teachers. Yesterday I did a panel on education, so hopefully I'll be doing it again at PAX next year. We will see, but go teachers. It's hard to balance a fun hobby that uses social media while also being a teacher who teaches high schoolers. It can be interesting. So some examples of my work that fit this topic is up here. So the far left is Orpheus from Stray Gods, specifically the DLC, where Orpheus, spoiler alert a little bit, comes out of the underworld and wants to find love, and he gets cool clothes. Next to that, in my white wig, is Yasha. I went to the live show over in New York City for the Jester and Ford wedding, so that was my outfit. The only thing I bought for that whole costume was my wig. Everything else I already owned. I took an old jacket and I bought some beads and I hand embroidered all these lightning bolts and flowers, something that'd be worthy of Yasha. So I only really spent money on the beads and the wig. The jacket was about 10 years old. It had seen better days, so I decided to spruce it up. Underneath that is Ari from a Captain America series from the comics called Community Captain Americas. So I was in college at the time. I just took a box from the recycling. Someone had bought a box fan, and I just made a shield. And she's the type of character who she's a college student herself. She's fighting bad guys. She's fighting frat boys. So I was like, oh, a cardboard box could work. Next to that is Papa Gay from Once on This Island, the 2017 revival. That is my crown jewel of my showing that you can take trash and make something amazing. I did that back in 2018. I have three pictures there, and I will be discussing that more as well. And next to that one is Ladna from Critical Role, level 13. And there's some elements in there I will be discussing as well. She was a pricey costume, I will admit, but there's elements of her that were not so expensive. Above her is an outfit I made inspired by Ladna, and it is a bed sheet. So the shirt, I patterned it all myself using historical techniques, and it's just an old bed sheet, like from like Walmart. I think it was like $10. And I used scrap fabric and some acrylic paint mixed with fabric medium, and I made a corset. Did not spend a single cent on that costume. And then again, below there's what I'm wearing right now. So to discuss how to build a home store. Looking through this list, who has some of those items? Raise your hand. Yeah. I think most of us have some of those items in our houses right now. Either we know or we don't know. You find it in a cabinet, you find it in a cupboard. But I will be discussing some free items. So trash. I'm technically wearing trash right now. So cardboard, straws, other tools you might have, like scissors. I'm hoping most people here have scissors, and if you don't, get them for like $1 at the dollar store. They might not be the best, but they do the job. For purchasing items, there's some base costume pieces. By this, I mean, you're not gonna just have a costume wardrobe of, I have Spider-Man, and I'm going to add this thing to Spider-Man. He'll be Spider-Man cat. He'll be dog Spider-Man. I mean things that you will use in your real everyday life that you can use for base costume pieces. Some craft supplies, some things like hot glue. There's a material called friendly plastic. It has different names. I'll be discussing that as well. That is a very good alternative for people who want something that's hard and flexible and not 3D print. I don't know about you all, but I don't own a 3D printer. I have a library that does, but I don't want to print a large prop at my local library. A minifigure, like D&D minifigure, fine, but like those who know Critical Role, Ladna has scissors are like this big. I don't want to print that at my local library. I want some fake bones. I don't want to print that at my local library either. So that's a good alternative for that, and it's a little bit less expensive as well. I have some other tools I'll be mentioning. They're very, very simple tools. Nothing too complex. I'm not saying you're going to need a hedge clipper. You're going to need a saw. We're not talking saws. We're not talking power tools. We're talking simple items. And other resources such as flea markets and tag sales. So those who live in smaller communities, there's a million tag sales. You can go looking through them and finding stuff. I have a basket I got for like, I think $2 that I used for my wedding Yasha outfit. And I gave out little bouquets. And flea markets are great. Sometimes they can be a little pricey, but if you look in the right place and you know how to haggle, you can get it at a little bit more affordable price. So free supplies. Trash. Again, my jacket is made out of cereal boxes. My poor father, he is still traumatized. He loves cereals. I do not like cereal. I knew I needed a thinner cardboard to make something wearable. So I asked my dad, hey, can you eat some cereal? I have a convention coming up, and I want to make a coat out of trash. And he's like, yeah, sure. How many do you need? And I was like, I think maybe 2 or 3. So now whenever I mention cereal, he gets a little jumpy. He's not very fond of it, but it turned out, and this is my second time wearing it, and it's still going strong. So using that, I grew up going to a school that did theater. I went to a theater high school, and I had a professor there, teacher there, who taught me how to do really, really good paper mache that can withstand a lot. So we would take shopping bags, like the paper shopping bags you get from any grocery store, and you take wood glue. You do 1 part wood glue, 1 part water. You mix it together, you soak your really thick paper bags in there, and you use it like regular paper mache, and you get this really thick shell. and you can sand it. I don't know about you all who have done paper mache in school, like newspaper and Elmer's glue, you can't really sand that. But if you use wood glue and paper bags, you can sand that. You can sand it, you can add primer, you can add filler. It is very, very tough, to the point where I was working on a mask in high school using that technique, and my X-Acto knife got caught, and I accidentally cut myself because it was so strong. And that mask is still surviving. Both, I made two, and they're still surviving to this day. It's been like a decade. And cereal boxes, you can use tubes. I will be mentioning one of my friends. I don't have any of her pictures here, unfortunately, but I will be mentioning her at the end. She works at a art store, and she got this huge cardboard tube that she's turning into a keyless staff at the moment. And she's using all upcycled materials. Her goal is to make everything out of something else. Like, she's using scrap fabric, using scraps from work, using just unconventional materials. So you can use cardboard rolls, anything. Wrapping paper, one of my favorite things. The way to make this free is when you have birthdays, holidays, you just collect it. I personally pay for it, but it's only like $1 or $2 at the dollar store. I use it for patterning. So when you are trying to do a mock-up, you can get the nice pattern paper, or you can get wrapping paper, and it does the same job. It does everything the same, and it's half the price, if not less. Straws. So this wig was, I don't know, first of all, I'll have you guess. How much do you think this wig cost?
40.
40? 15? It was $10, and it had straight across bangs. And what I did is I took boba straws that I got on Amazon for super cheap, used a few of them, curled the wig, steamed it, done. And it's still not the best quality, but I didn't want to spend any money on this costume. So I made a $10 wig look like at least 15, if not more. And I made it look like a completely different wig without any fancy tools. So for straws, when you go get bubble tea, you can maybe save your straws, wash them, keep them in a little jar, and use them for wig styling. For African-American cosplayers or anyone who has really like coily hair, one of my friends had normal straws, and she coiled her wig up, like she curled her wig up in the thin straws, dunked it in hot water, let it cool, and had a beautiful afro. Cost her, I think, $5 for a bag of straws. So you can either buy it, or you can do the free of going to Dunkin' and collect a bunch slowly but surely, and then have a little hoard, and you don't have to spend a cent. Another thing is old bed sheets. I don't know about you all, but if like I used to have a twin bed, now I have a queen bed. I have all these old sheets, and I use them for mock-ups. So when I'm making a costume, I don't want to cut into my expensive fabric yet. I make a mock-up using old bed sheets, and it's so much cheaper than buying muslin even. Muslin's gotten really expensive lately. I went to the store and it was, I think, $4 or $5 a yard at my local fabric store. And without Joann's, it's a lot harder, and I have to drive an hour, and you all know the story. So I really recommend old bed sheets. Wonderful, lifesaver. Facebook Marketplace, my dad actually suggested I add this. If you need tools, if you need furniture, if you need maybe even old bed sheets, people might be giving it away for free on Facebook Marketplace. Say, hey, I just need to get rid of this, please come take it. One of my friends, the same friend I'll be discussing a little bit later, who is making this upcycled costume, she lives in New York City, and they have their own thing called Pay Nothing, I believe it's called. Buy Nothing, Buy Nothing. And she's gotten furniture for free because people just want to get rid of it, and they don't want to just leave it on the street. So I highly recommend things like that for purchasing. So this is what I mean by base costume pieces. I currently, this shirt, I cut it for this costume because I have permanent short sleeves, but this was $2 at Goodwill, the shirt I'm wearing, the white shirt. My pants are khaki pants in my own wardrobe. Do you have a question? Yeah. Exactly, and you can wear that for your everyday life too if you wanted. For me, like, there's so many characters of cosplay that have a white button down and black pants. I can also wear that in my everyday life. So I have a pair of black pants and a white button down, and I use it for costumes or I use it for normal life. And jackets. There's a costume I wanted to do, and I like the jacket for both the character and myself. So I bought it, $60, and I use it for both cosplay and wintertime. So it's buying those pieces that you know you can be using for real life and costumes, so you're not making things from scratch each time. And that way, you can make a closet cosplay that doesn't look like a closet cosplay. And I said the range is $2 to $10 at a thrift store. If you want to be a little bit fancier and get it new, all power to you. But you can get things at thrift stores, and they are wonderful. The tools I was talking about is steamers are your best friend. I love my steamer. I have a very cheap, like $10 steamer from Walmart. I want to get $50 one day, but that's not always in the budget. That's why I'm doing this panel. So you can use steamers for clothes and for wigs. Again, for this wig, I styled it with a steamer and straws. So you can use it for wig styling. You can use it for steaming your clothes. Steaming and ironing can elevate your clothing to like a whole level up without really much effort. So you can take something that looks really cheap and kind of crumpled up, and if you iron it, steam it, put some extra love and care into it, it can look a lot nicer. And that's not just for costumes, but for real life too. So spending the extra bit of money on like an iron or a steamer, you can make sure like you look a little bit nicer for your work day, you look a little bit nicer for events, and also use it for costumes. Irons are good too. It's preferable to have both, because if you want to do any appliques, you can iron appliques, or when you're sewing things, always iron. Always iron. It makes things look so much better. And then a hot glue gun. Like everyone's seen hot glue gun things. Everyone's seen a hot glue gun craft. In a pinch, hot glue gun. You can get them really cheap. I think the cheapest I've seen was like $5. So it's not going to break the bank, and you can use it again and again and again. Tape. This costume, again, is very much tape. Tape, it's paint, cardboard, and tape. So much so I have literal rolls of tape with me, and part of my costume I have a tape roll as a holster for my imaginary, from like my whip. So duct tape. Anyone who's a crafter, duct tape is your friend. Also try to hide it if you're doing something that's not purposefully showing duct tape. So in this hat, we got duct tape and normal tape to keep it together, otherwise it would explode. So for tape, it's not that expensive. $2 to $15 a roll. Some places have coupons, look up coupons. And it's just a good thing to have too in your toolkit. So when you're making props, you can use different types of tape to make your props, and it can be lifesaver. So when I say tape, I'm mostly talking about your props, unless you are making bow from Date Everything. That's a special circumstance. Other things is foam. So this is not EVA foam, this is not craft foam, this is insulation foam. So I don't know if anyone has seen insulation foam before, because I know not everyone goes to Home Depot. Not everyone grew up in Home Depot at the young age of like 3 and up. So for insulation foam,
Iniciar
it's
notificações
huge
8
sheets. Usually, like, it won't fit in your card, so
OBS Studio 2
and they usually start around
OBS
$15 a sheet. You want to get a little bit thicker, they are
0 hora
great for props.
19 minutos
So I have a guitar, you'll
projetor
see
em
later.
tela
It was expensive to make only because it has fiberglass resin, so it will survive a con floor. But to make a base prop, just make a good old prop, that's great. It's easy to carve. I used it way back in high school too, for carving I made horns, I've made guitar, I've made a million things. It's so easy to work with, it's very forgiving, and it's very inexpensive. Paintbrushes, dollar store. It's just a thing you need is paintbrushes. You can't avoid it. Little middle school me tried to avoid it by making my own paintbrushes. You don't want to do that. So, and then again, wrapping paper, $2 a roll on average, unless you are getting the very, very fancy stuff. And just again, dollar stores. And now we get into the little bit fancier stuff. So for those who want to do foam props, I personally cannot afford to do EVA foam. Maybe once as a little treat, but it's not an everyday occurrence. It's not an every costume thing. So I go to the craft foam section of Michael's, and they have a big roll of foam you can get. It's white. It's not as pretty as the black. It might not be as smooth or as stiff as the usual EVA foam, but it does the job. I've made armor. I've made, mostly armor and a couple other props, and it's great. It's like $12 a roll. It's not very expensive. I think I put down 10, so it's 10 to 12. It's not very expensive. And you can also get craft foam sheets if you want to make very thin armor. So those, years ago, I made a Marvel hero cosplay, and it had very, very thin armor. So I used the craft foam sheets, I used my handy dandy hair dryer and a little knife, and I carved all my little designs out and heat treated it and made armor. I forgot to put down other tools of hair dryer. So you can get a heat gun, but you don't need one. Hair dryer does the job. Unless you are trying to melt zip ties, then you're gonna need a heat gun. But other than that, hair dryer does the job. Next is friendly plastic, which I discussed before. How this works is that it's little beads, little plastic beads. You put it in hot water, not boiling, hot water, and it becomes moldable. So you mold it into whatever shape you want, and then it cools and dries, and it's like any normal kind of plastic. It's mostly advertised as a replacement for if you are break your saw and you need to replace the handle. It's a handle replacement. But my teacher back in high school taught me to use it for fake teeth and anything else. So if you want to make fangs, if you want to make tusks, it is great. It is not it's as digestible safe as fake nails are. It's the same level. It's not going to make you sick. It's not super toxic. Just don't have it in your mouth for a long time, as is the case for any plastic. But you can mold it in your teeth. It's not super hot, so it won't be harmful, won't hurt you. And then you can shape it whatever shape you want, and it's not a lot of money. So I have a bag that was this big that I got for I think $8, and I'm still using it. There's still stuff left. So I highly recommend that. That is a great product to use. It's a little bit harder to work with than most items, so it's not to the point of clay. It's similar to clay, but it's not as easy to mold. You just need to have a lot of patience. But the results are worth it, and the money saving is also worth it as well. Glue, as I mentioned before, wood glue. Wood glue is my favorite glue because it is so much hardier and strong, and then you water it down like anything else for paper mache, and it's sometimes a little bit more money than white glue, but it's still really, really, really good. It's worth the extra $1, and it takes you a long way. It is wonderful. Paint, you can go to the dollar store, you can go to the cheaper end of the craft section and get really cheap paint. Any acrylic paint will do. So for those who have wanted to do fabric paint, it's really expensive. I'm sure we can all agree fabric paint's a lot of money. And what I do is I buy a bottle of textile medium. So it has instructions on the ratio that you do, and you mix it with acrylic paint, ta-da, you have fabric paint. So I did that for these sleeves. These are scrap fabric. I did the ratio, but I made it a little bit extra paint, a little bit less fabric medium. And it looks like cardboard, it looks like paper, but if you do the proper ratio, it looks like any other fabric paint. It works like any other fabric paint. So I highly recommend that if you can't afford to shell out all this money for fabric paint. I do it all the time, it's great. And it starts at $3 a bottle. I think we can all agree $3 is not bad, especially when it's usually like a 1 to 2 ratio. That's gonna last you a long time. I've had the same bottle, I think, for like 5 years. So it's highly recommend. The zip ties are my best friend. I love zip ties. They are great for unconventional things. I learned this from a cosplayer on YouTube. I cannot remember their name at the moment, but it's great to use for corsets. So I like to make corsets once in a while. I can't afford boning. No one really can. And also, I don't want to shell out all this money for a costume. So I use zip ties. You cut it to size, you sand it so it's not rough, and you stick it into the channels, and it works great. So I had my corset I showed before, my little belt corset. I've had other corsets. I just use zip ties for my boning, and it's wonderful. And again, it starts at $3 for a bag of 100, which is great, 8 inches. If you want bigger, it gets a little bit pricier. But again, it depends on what you're using it for. So now we're going to discuss building. Here are some of my progress photos, and I will try to whip through some of my examples. If you want to hear more, I'm always happy to talk. And if you don't want to talk or you don't have time, reach out to me on Instagram. I am happy to explain things. So my first one is Papa Gay, which is the one that got second place for my group cosplay contest. Very proud of her. She's been in storage for a while, unfortunately, but she is only pricey because of what her base of her cape was made out of. I bought things from clearance sections of stores. I had trash. The cape has my aunt's old blankets. Literally, there's bubble wrap on that cape. So I hand-sewed bubble wrap on there. The spines are all made out of foam poster board that I had lying around my house. And then I paper mache'd the edges to make it smooth and make it look like Coca-Cola cans were being folded into spines. They're spray painted. I made a little stencil with stickers that I printed out and hand cut. It wasn't that much money to make most of it. And the cape is made out of flannel base only because it was winter time, so that was a little pricey. But if you get an old bed sheet and you're fine without having this really expensive warm fabric, this could have easily cost me like $50 to make. The little skull you see is paper mache using the method I described. And I took clay and I molded it over there. And clay, plastic wrap, and then I did my little paper mache, and then I carved the clay out, and I had a little skull. And my harness, what I really like to do, instead of buying leather for different belts and leather pieces, is just go to the upholstery section of a store and get vinyl. Now that Joann's is gone, it's a little bit harder. I go to a store in Natick, and they have a whole upholstery section. It's wonderful. So that's what I use personally. And the horns, I know they're not in this picture, but they were used with insulation foam and paper mache over it, and it was really strong, and it's still going on to this day. I haven't worn it in a while, but I've worn it like 5 times. Nothing's fallen apart. The only thing that fell apart, and the spines came out of its base because the glue holding the spine on its base weakened, and that was it. Everything else is pretty strong. So Ladna from Critical Role, for her cheaper pieces I used friendly plastic to make her bones. So I had a problem in the past. I had used clay to make bones, and they would break all the time. You look at them the wrong way, they would break. So I used friendly plastic, glued some ribbon on it, and they're wonderful. They have a nice clanging noise, they're white, and they're durable, and they're slightly flexible, so they're not as brittle. For my cage skirt, for anyone who has wanted to ever cosplay Ladna and has seen her level 13 look and is very intimidated, I've seen so many cosplayers approach it in so many different ways, and it's so many genius ways. I wanted it to look a little bit less soft, and most people had made like little, had taken fabric and put boning in it, or stiffened fabric up in some way. And I wanted to still be able to sit in it, and I wanted to be harder and look like metal because it's supposed to be a metal skirt. So I took zip ties, really, really long zip ties, and my dad helped me rivet them together. So each one is hand riveted and spray painted it gold. So it was, I think I spent like maybe $20 on all the zip ties for that skirt because they're longer, so they're a little bit more money, but it was only like $20 for that whole skirt. For my mock-ups, I did use the old bed sheets that I mentioned prior, so that was wonderful, so I didn't mess up my nice fabric. And I bought cotton, so it's a little bit cheaper anyway. So I love historical things. I'm a history teacher. I love historical costuming. So I knew she had a little bump in her back, like the back of her skirt, so I made a bum roll. Historically, they did fill it with fabric scraps. So all of my scraps from that project were stuffed into that and sewn together to add that extra like padding, but all of it scrap. Nothing of it was bought for the project. None of like, there wasn't nice fabric that was cut up for it. It was all scrap. So for those who love historical costuming, that is a great way to save money as well. And next one, so Bo, what I'm wearing right now. Here are some photos of my progress. And again, everything's made out of cereal boxes. I painted all this with, I think it was, I don't know if anyone from here knows Job Lot. Job Lot is mostly a New England-based store. I bought like $2 tube of paint, and I still have some left from Job Lot, and just painted this. And used some white, used some black, and just changed the tones. I think altogether was $6 worth of paint, and I still have it left. Again, sleeves, scrap fabric. Hat is cardboard box from when I moved. Everything is stuff I already had, because I promised myself that I would not go over my budget, and I had already hit my budget, so I didn't want to spend any money. And then I have my bag here. That is made out of a shipping box. So for those who don't know, shipping boxes are free unless you are paying to ship them. So if you go to your local post office, free. I don't recommend you take a bunch, but if you take one or two, they'll be fine. If you take a bunch, don't recommend. I don't recommend that. But this, again, free. Do not spend any money. Yes?
I wanted to throw in a suggestion. If you have like a trash day, that's a great time to take a picture.
Yep.
Like on your street corner.
Oh, I agree. So if you live in a neighborhood where you know people won't mind going through their trash a little bit, look at the recycling bins and see what's left. So there's all of that. And again, as I mentioned, boba straws for the wig and duct tape straps. What I really love to do is try to incorporate a cosplay that needs that uses a box and turn it into a bag. So it's just duct tape. It's just duct tape. It's a fully functional bag. And the character has it as a bag, and it functions as a bag, and I only use duct tape. And a free box. And so this is Orpheus from Stray Gods. That I was in this yesterday. I don't know if anyone saw me. It was only for 2 hours, so I doubt it. But that's my process of using foam to make the guitar out of foam insulation. And your scraps, you can use it for making other pieces. Like I made horns. I made way back for Papa Gay. I made so many things. It's great to use. My outfit itself is I got it from one of those thrift store websites. So my total was I think $15 for the leather pants and the mock turtleneck tank top. And then I bought some silver vinyl and cut that out by hand and ironed it on. So everything together I think was $25. I spent $15 on the wig. So it was less than $50 basically for everything. And if you want to make it really, really durable, you can do your resin and all this stuff, but that's going to bring you to $200 range. But most of it was affordable. The boots were from a local thrift store over in Boston for $10. So another thing that didn't really break the bank. So here's some additional resources I have. Facebook Marketplace again, Facebook groups. So I know PAX East has a group. There's a bunch of cosplay groups out there you can join and ask, hey, does anyone have any scrap materials they don't want anymore? I will happily take them. Or, hey, do you know of anything where I can get this item at a thrift store or at a swap or whatever? Maybe someone's throwing away something that they don't want that you find useful. Another thing, local library. I love my local library. I love research. So I use websites and I use my local library for research. I know some libraries have 3D printers, so if you do want to do a 3D printed thing, you pay your library. Not everyone has a printer at home. I do, but ink is very expensive. So I go to my local library and I print off my patterns. So I get like a PDF pattern for making costumes. For that too, you can use that indefinitely. For paper patterns that you buy at the store for like $15, you can't really reuse that. You can, but not a different size. With PDF patterns, you print it off yourself, you can keep printing it off, and you can share it with your friends. If you are really tight on budget and your friends are as well, you can share resources with each other, you can share patterns. And again, local library to print it off. I printed off, I think it was a like 30-page pattern, and it was like $5 to print it off at the library, and I can reuse it. Some accounts that I really like, actually, no, I only did one account that I really like, sorry about that, is Rachel Maxey. She is really great. She's a Boston-based cosplayer and content creator. I believe Boston. I know she lives somewhere here in Massachusetts, but she's a Massachusetts-based cosplayer and content creator who she will often use scraps. She will use old bed sheets. She'll go to thrift stores and take old curtains and make them into a dress. And she's really inspired me and is the reason why I've done certain aspects that I've done, like using bed sheets, because she'll go, oh, I went to the thrift store and I got some old curtains and I made it into a dress. I'm like, how? So she's a great person to follow if you need ideas. She does that all the time. You can follow me. I do try to do more budget conscious when possible, and if not, I know people who do, and you can always ask me. The person I mentioned earlier, her name is Lauren. She's my best friend. This is her username, LaurenLS_18 on Instagram. And she's been cataloging her process of making her Keyleth costume entirely out of scrap or trash, whatever you want to call it. And she's been doing really good. So if you need ideas from her,
Sobreposição
her as well.
desktop e Windows Source.
And for others, if any of you guys have ideas, and I will go to my little Q&A.
Retângulo. Tela
And you can come
inteira.
up to the
Menu
mic and share some
projetor em tela
ideas
cheia.
or ask some
Prévia.
questions.
Janela.
And I can always go back and explain more if anyone has questions. You can also go to the mic so everyone can hear you. It should be on.
Do you any kind of cosplay things that involve like a hoodie, a sweater, or something? You can just get them and paint them.
Cool.
And but fabric paint usually at Michael's is expensive. It doesn't really work. I tried that. It doesn't really work. So acrylic paint and mix it with the fabric paint if you already got it.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So even if you do get fabric paint, it can be a little, other than expensive, maybe it doesn't work. So thank you. Yeah.
Question. When you use zip ties for boning, do you use multiple at a time or just one?
I just use one, but I get a certain thickness. I don't want the really tiny, thin ones. I get the ones that are a little bit wider, that are the same size as my channel.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi.
So, if you don't have any mattresses to spare, what do you use as a substitute if you want to use fabric, but you don't have any from the store?
If you're able to go to the thrift store, you can buy curtains and bed sheets there for $2 and just make stuff. And also if there's clothes that you have at home that you don't really use anymore, you can make them into something new as well, if that helps. Thank you.
Do you have any suggestions on making semi-natural objects? Because I wanted to do cosplay for Grace from Project Hail Mary with Rocky and his little ball, but it's semi-natural.
Yeah.
So
For that, the insulation foam is great because it's similar to EVA foam that it can take texture, so you can just cut it up, carve it how you want, take a real rock and hit it with a real rock and paint it. You might need to use glue to paint over it so it doesn't soak in a lot of paint, but put some Elmer's glue or Mod Podge on that, and then you put paint over it, and you can have nice rock texture as well.
Well, Rocky himself is a rock, but
Yeah.
his ball is like a transparent glass-ish material.
Oh, that's hard. For that, I would say if you need plastic things, Christmas time. Oh, shower curtain, that's smart. Shower curtain's great. If you need a ball thing, Christmas time, I know it's not Christmas time, but see if anyone's getting rid of Christmas ornaments and using that kind of thing.
Con cierto
Oh,
malo.
yeah, water bottle. Oh, good idea.
What's your, do you have a preferred system for doing props or costumes that have letters on them?
I do. My system that I usually do is that I will print off my pattern and I will cut it out. So let's say I do something that needs to be stuck on, I buy the vinyl. Instead of like, people have crickets. I just print it off on a piece of paper and trace it on there, and then I try to line it up using measurement tools the best I can. Yep.
My question, I just wanted to hear again, what was the super paper mache?
Oh, yes. So that is wood glue, 1 part wood glue and 1 part water. You might have to play with it until you get a good feeling of the texture, and then you're done. Just treat it like normal white glue for paper mache, but use wood glue instead.
Word. One, like, just one amazing pointer that I was taught and I really liked it was, if you're buying something for cosplay that you will then be able to use practically, like in any sense, then it's like a little bit easier to spend maybe that extra $15 or $20. Like I bought, I did a Brian Fury cosplay and I bought camo pants, but those are my snow shoveling pants now because like they're lined and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
if you can, I feel you can justify maybe like just that little bit of extra money if you can implicate it into your, or apply it into like what you're going to do for the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's what I did with my Orpheus coat. I was like, oh, this is really comfortable. I love a good Sherpa-lined coat. Now it's my winter coat I wear every year.
And also never buy any kind of discounted army boots. No Dr. Scholl's can save them.
Oh, thank you.
Hi. I guess mine's more like a comment too. I've been like working with wigs a lot recently, and I just made my first helmet wig, which was an exciting process. But my advice for everybody is water bottles and PVC pipes are like your best friend. My dad takes me to Home Depot, so he took me there, and I didn't realize PVC pipes are like that most like $3. So those are like, you can make like staffs with them. I always tell the Home Depot people, I'm making a weapon, don't worry, it's not to kill someone, it's just to make a staff. Yeah.
That staff is PVC.
Yeah, it's like great.
And also you can use the PVC connectors to dismantle it so you can bring it transport, so it's easier.
Yes.
Love PVC.
So I just wanted to say
Yeah.
that because I love PVC.
Awesome, thank you.
My question is, do you have any advice for making like spikes for wigs? Because I know you said like the
Yeah.
twirling, but
For that, I don't do too much wig styling. I used to use mostly my natural hair. That's another tip, is natural hair when possible. But I have seen like Got2b. I use Got2b for everything. Got2b glued is my best friend. But for spikes for wigs, that is more affordable. I would just say start with Got2b, and if you need to, maybe do some test strands on some glue, like to see if wood glue or Elmer's glue works on test strands. If it doesn't work, test strand is fine.
thank you.
And helmet wigs are so intimidating. I haven't even tried. They're so scary. So props to you.
Hi, thank you so much for the presentation. It's
Yeah, thank
super
you.
informative.
Oh, thank you.
So your jacket, you said the body is made out of cardboard, but
Yep.
the sleeves are fabric.
Yep.
Are the sleeves attached in any way?
Velcro.
Velcro.
Because if I don't, I learned the hard way when I was testing it out, if I don't have them detachable, it will not come off.
Interesting.
It
Okay.
will, yeah.
That was just what I wanted to
Yeah.
know. I was so curious because they look so natural.
Oh,
Awesome.
thank you.
Great tip. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, first, thank you very much for putting all this together. I wanted to go back. You'd mentioned using textile media and acrylic paint to make fabric paint. What was that ratio? Which side was the one, which side was the two?
It's usually on the bottle. I think it's usually a 2-to-1, but
Like,
the
which
bottle.
one's the two?
Like 2 to 1 will be like 1 acrylic, 2 fabric medium, I believe, or it might be swapped. It usually says it on the bottle. I also go by vibes. So sometimes I want a thinner paint, sometimes I want a thicker paint. It's very forgiving.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi.
A trick I was taught with acrylic and fabric was to iron it to kind of get it to set better. I don't know if you've ever tried that.
I haven't, but I have heard that. Most of my things I paint do not go in the wash, but I have heard that, and I've heard it works really well.
Yeah. Another thing was, I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but getting cardboard boxes. I go to the grocery store and just ask for the ones that they're throwing out. I don't know if anyone does that or not, but.
What I used to do growing up is I used to go to the liquor store and get boxes. So like mass thing is the package store is you can go and get boxes from there.
Hi, I'm going to make another quick comment. If you like this panel on the PAX Nav app, you can rate the panel. So any panel, any content you enjoyed all weekend on the PAX Nav app, you can rate it 1 to 5 stars and leave a comment about how much you enjoyed it because Sarah, this was so wonderful. And also PAX East sends out surveys to all attendees. So if you mention this panel in the survey or any other content you enjoyed, that goes a long way in making sure that Sarah can continue making this wonderful content for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Yes, please. If you, it's on the app, and I think, is it on the website too? Or is it just the app? Yeah. Yeah, but there'll be a little thing where it's like, put it on my schedule, and then there's the rate it. So please, that'd be awesome, because I would love to bring this back again next year, and to other PAX events as well, because I know there's a couple more. And any other questions or comments? Because we have, I think, 12 minutes left. Hi.
Hi, I just have a quick resource that I recently used. If you're like trying to thrift because you're trying to find like a specific item, but like, you know, it's like you've hit 5 thrift stores and it's like, I can't find one, or I found one, it's the wrong size. ThreadUp is
That's
an
where
online
I got the
website.
Orpheus out.
That's
Thank
where all
you.
this came.
I was trying to remember
My
the name.
boots,
Thank you.
My dress, my blouse, all ThreadUp.
Thank
and
you.
usually like they have coupons and stuff like that. A lot of people get sponsored and you can get their like codes and stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I completely forgot the name. Thank you. I used content creators like discount codes, and I got my whole Orpheus outfit except for the coat from ThreadUp.
Hi. Not really a question, but I have a comment on like weathering.
Yeah.
My mom taught me that if you grab like a cork from like a wine bottle and you light it up and just let it burn for a bit, the ashes, you can kind of use that as like soot to weather. And that's like on here. So
cool.
that's like all the weathering on here.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Take a lighter and then.
So the cork from like a wine bottle, if you light it up, it's gonna go on fire. You let it burn out. Don't put the fire on you. But the ashes you can put on you, and that'll like weather the suit. Yeah.
That's so smart. Thank you.
I also have a comment. Kitchen tools are really handy if you can't afford like specialized cutters. Make sure you're like whatever you're cutting with them, like check how food safe it is. You might need to, if you still want to use that in your kitchen, you might need to do some sanitizing and whatnot. But you can also usually find them cheap at dollar stores. Like for the teeth, these were all cut with a bench scraper. If you've ever made like pastry or anything before, because it's like essentially like a sharpened rectangle, so it made it easy to cut in straight lines, because I can't cut a straight line to save my life. So.
Oh, that's so smart. I love a good old bread knife. Good old bread knife, you can't go wrong. Foam and a bread knife. We have 10 minutes. If we want to end now, it's fine. But thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. This is my first time doing this panel. And I'm hopefully will be doing, and I will also be doing it at Kineticon this year as well, and maybe another PAX. We'll see. But again, thank you so much, and rate me, please, and ask them to ask me to come back. That would be really wonderful. And if anyone wants a sticker, I made handmade stickers for this panel, so I have that as well. So for those sticker lovers out there, because I love a good sticker. Thank you so much.
Ok, bom, galera, esse foi o evento da vez da PAX. Muito interessante o cosplay. Ela dando com dicas Vou fazer roupas de cosplay, personagens em bom preço. E também lembrando, para Halloween, isso é ótimo, né, galera? Para Halloween aqui. Muito obrigado a todos por acompanharem. Tô ficando por aqui, de volta amanhã, dia 27. Amanhã, dia 27. Com mais 2 eventos. Fique ligado aqui no canal. E desculpa ter sido esse evento tão curto, mas é assim que foi. Tô ficando por aqui. Valeu, falou e eu fui. Até o próximo
Iniciar
vídeo.
janela. Fixado. OBS Studio 2 interromper modo estúdio. Quadros perdidos live 0 horas 50 minutos e 24 interromper